Pyrion gets to use real money at the secret shop because he never actually has enough gold when he's in game to purchase pretty much anything. But either way, it's nice to see him on camera. Also, though, the people that we do want to see, it's Navi and TongFu for game number 3. They're already in the game, so we'll go straight to what you want to say. If there's anything interesting you guys have to say, so if you don't want to say anything, that's fine.
I'm done.
Okay, you're done.
Okay,
Bruno?
I have something interesting. I think TongFu is going to win this because their matchup favors them against Navi. Navi likes to play Puck, Quop, these heroes that rely on killing squishes. And the two best heroes from TongFu are Lifestealer for the carry and Dragonite for the mid. Two very strong, very tanky heroes. So if they can't get ahead in the beginning like it happened in game 1, they will not be able to beat them.
I'm hoping for something new and exciting that's not just a plain Ursa without support. Hopefully another Pudge game from Dendi, but I think Navi will take it home.
I too am looking for a good game. Good job, Ben. Yeah, so we're going to go straight to the game. So the winner of this, it's tied up 1-1. The winner will move into the winner bracket finals to play Alliance tomorrow, which also means they secured a top 3. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoy the game. Best of luck to both teams. It's Navi versus TongFu.
Navi versus TongFu.
Welcome back to the floor of beautiful Benaroyo Hall. It's match point, Draskell. The upper bracket semifinals. TongFu taking on the fan favorite Navi. Navi put on a hell of a show in game 1. Game 2, TongFu methodically ground them down. And now again, it's midnight hour, at least for their upper bracket hopes. The winner of this set will move on to meet Alliance in the upper bracket finals. The loser, of course, not out yet, will drop down, but don't want to be in that lower bracket if they can help it. Looking back over the game 1 and game 2, the strategies employed, totally different, as they said at the analyst desk. The fact that TongFu very methodically just took apart Navi's game plan, did not give them any openings in comparison to the high-flying, hook-throwing sort of an approach Navi took in game 1. Looking at it now, we can already see the bans and picks well underway. Darkseer Rubik, a very solid core, is always coming out of TongFu. Chen and Alchemist coming out for Navi.
I think what we've gathered from this is TongFu really likes Darkseer, and Navi really like Chen. Pretty sure it's been all 3 games that we've actually seen those heroes together for each of those teams at least. So this game's going to be no exception. Alchemist to follow up the Chen, obviously very strong, versatile. Navi is one of the teams, though, that typically doesn't run the Alchemist mid. A lot of other teams do, but Navi more often than not just put Host on that role. They put him in the farming role, and Alchemist is one of those heroes that synergizes well with Chen in the fact that he is actually strong mid-game. If you give him a free lane and you don't contest him at all, then you know for sure that you're going to have darn near full inventory at 25 to 30 minutes. It's depending on what kind of build you go, whether it be Battle Fury or whether you want to go for something like a Shadow Blade. So Navi still looking to play the aggressors here, I'm sure, whereas TongFu, they have about some of the most versatile picks you're ever going to see. And starting off with the Darkseer Rubik, it leaves them wide open for any array of strategies.
One of the things I love so much about seeing a Chen pick with an Alchemist is Alchemist takes a little pressure off of Chen and building that mech sometimes, but as you said, Navi is one of those teams who doesn't traditionally do that. They do like to simply farm the hero up, let Havosa do his job, get a Shadow Blade, phase boots up very quickly, and start taking fights very early on. Of course, Chen, a hero that works great with that. Alchemist and his sustain, and that's really where the true synergy between the two heroes comes. Once Chen hits 6, once Alchemist hits 6, and they want to start taking fights, Chen's Hand of God allows them to draw out these fights. The regen built into Alchemist allows him to have a lot more survivability, especially if he gets an early BKB and decides to go that route as well. And this, on both sides, TongFu and Navi feeling each other out have the option of reacting very quickly to whatever they see now as we come into the 3rd and 4th slot picks.
Well, it's interesting because Navi, in the last game, they picked a strategy that they kind of had to execute really hard, but they also did the same thing in the first game. But here, there's a bit of a deviation already. When you pick an Alchemist, it automatically feels a bit safer because you have a hero that you know can at least pull its weight past like the 25, 30-minute mark, which is really important. So maybe they're just picking a bit more safe because they know or respect TongFu enough to know that they're not always going to be able to just execute and have crazy Dendi Pudge games where he's able to just land hook after hook. What was it, something like 19 hooks landed in the first game? Yeah, it was completely out of control. So Navi, I don't know what they're going to take here, honestly. There's a lot of choices for them. If they want to go super aggressive, that can definitely be something that plays to their favor because Navi, of course, one of the best aggressive teams in the world, but Puck's already banned. So that's going to be something that Dendi is not going to be able to get his hands on. And I think taking a Pudge is really, really risky in this situation when you already have a Rubik and a Darkseer, but the choice is actually going to be Nyx. And I like Nyx specifically because against Darkseer, it's quite good. Having Mana Burn against these types of heroes is really strong. Carapace is very annoying too because you just have 2 AoE abilities in the Ion Shell and the Vacuum, so you can be a huge disruption during these fights. And not only that, but if it's a support Nyx, he's going to get a lot of EXP here because the Chen's going to be jungling, he'll be free to pull, and TongFu right now don't look like they were going to be contesting. They're picking a Gyrocopter Rubik, which means that you're going to be able to split the experience really evenly between Navi's trial lane. Oh, they pick it! They took the Pudge! You can see Dendi smiling right now.
Oh, yes.
He wanted it bad, and Puppy gave it to him.
Pudge making his second appearance here in our upper bracket semifinal, and I'd say the crowd's pretty happy about it, not too upset with the Chansey pick, as you had explained how it would be Chansey, but there's the man. Going to be looking to replicate the performance he had in Game 1, and truly a performance to be remembered. It's one thing to have a performance like that in general, but to do it on this stage with this much at stake, truly ascending to a new level. So TongFu, though, the good news is they've seen it now. It's not something that they just saw it. I'm sure they had, at least in the back of their head, had the idea that perhaps this could happen to them moving down the stretch in another game. I'm sure during their break they talked it over at least a little bit, and they're going to have some kind of game plan in mind to try and keep Navi from doing what they did in game number 1.
10 seconds
Well,
remaining.
the thing about picking Pudge when they picked it is it's an inherent risk not only because of the lineup of TongFu, but because we haven't seen what TongFu's mid's going to be yet. So we don't know what that Pudge matchup is going to be overall, but still one more ban from each team, so maybe they're going to ban out a hero that they don't want to put against Pudge, because even though, as Bruno stated before, he doesn't necessarily have to win his lane, there are just some heroes that you don't want to have to lane against if you're a Pudge. Queen of Pain probably being at the forefront of that, but I'm not sure if that's going to be the ban out here from Navi or not. But TongFu's lineup really, really strong. They, of course, have the Visage and the Rubik support cast, Darkseer to offlane, and the Gyrocopter to either carry, or he can actually go mid himself. We talked about that the last time we saw Pudge, actually, and the potential for him to go mid 1 versus 1 against that hero. So it looks like we're going to have to find out. But Navi, whenever you see Pudge, whenever you see Chen, you know that Navi's game plan could just be what it was in the first game. Play hyper-aggression, look to open up room for that Alchemist. And this time, the carry that they're picking is probably going to contribute, I think.
Just a smidge, I would imagine. One thing that, looking at the two lineups, other than everything you've already pointed out, TongFu is a little light on crowd control. Really, they only have 2 abilities, one of which is insanely unreliable in the homing missile, but then you have telekinesis. Other than that, they don't have a lot of ways to lock heroes down. Compare that to Navi with 2 nice AoE disables already in the Impale, and Alchemist if he's able to catch even more than 1 target with the Unstable Concoction. Then, of course, Pudge with the Dismembers. So TongFu, most likely in this situation, needs to be looking for a hero with some kind of control. They need some way to put the brakes on Navi when that hook does land, because you can't just bank on the idea that you're going to move so well and have such good vision that Pudge will never land a hook. Like, that's just not reality. It's not going to happen. So when those hooks do land, you need to have a way to again, put the brakes on that team fight that they're going to try to bring out. And there's some more, CC. Windrunner picked up, a shackle shot added to the repertoire. A lot of ways for Navi to start these fights.
The hook is going to be their only form of initiation. That's like the one thing that you have to be concerned with, because of course they banned Mirana, so TongFu not going to give Funnick that hero, which was a big turning point, especially during the first blood that happened in game number 1 between these 2 teams. But this time they're only going to have really Dendi. The Nyx eventually, I'm sure, will get a Blink Dagger, which will be nice for him, but it's not going to be anytime soon. And TongFu, they're going to go with a Doombringer, so it's going to be a Doom versus a Pudge mid. And this is an interesting matchup. Doom, obviously not the greatest base armor, but once he actually gets Doom, it's very easy to just shut out the Chen from a fight, or maybe even the Pudge if you don't want to have to worry about that. And of course, if you're doomed, you can't even use items, so it just completely takes away that huge amount of health offset that a Chen naturally gives you inside of your lineup. And when you have something like a call down vacuum combination, it's actually going to be very, very strong for them. So question is, who's actually going to be able to win the middle lane, because Pudge versus Doom for the first couple of levels kind of have to give the advantage to the Pudge, because the Doom can't really effectively trade hits at that early stage in the game. But again, there's probably going to be a lot of movement coming out from both sides. I would imagine both lanes are going to be avoiding each other again, although I suppose TongFu could potentially go aggressive here if they wanted to.
Both teams moving out as a pack of 5. Doesn't look like they're going to be heading to the same place anyway. We'll run through the lineups just so long. Yep, looks like they're going to go ahead and just take it easy. So starting on the side of TongFu, Gyrocopter going to be farmed up by Hao. Going to have the Darkseer played by King Jae. Visage going to be handled by SanSheng. Rubik played by Banana, and the Doom handled by Mu. On the side of Navi, Chen going to be handled by Puppy. Once again, we'll have Alchemist farmed by Havost. The Nyx Assassin going to be played by Kuroki, and Funnick handling our red-headed Windrunner. But the man of the hour, the master of disaster, the Pudge, going to be played by Dendi for the second time in this series. Just about ready to get underway, and both teams playing this ultra cautious. TongFu standing right on top of each other. They have Sit and Mu on up to the top lane. King Jae actually hanging around mid, at least for the moment. They are going to go on back in, but as the horn blows, we're ready to go. Game 3, match point. Navi. Havost spotted out, thought they were going to engage it. There's the haste rune, fortuitous haste rune, and he's able to make it away. TongFu with a bit of a missed opportunity, and Havost going to run straight in a circle. Say hello to him one more time before ducking back under his tower. So TongFu with a bit of a missed opportunity. Up at top, we are going to see Mu setting up shop. Puppy's in that jungle, though, and Funnick there as well. Here in mid, already some rotation. Kuro going to show his face. King Jae against the Pudge. And there's a Mana Bird. Looks like he's just going to be hanging around just to try and help Dendi out, try to secure himself as much an advantage as possible. Havo's going to be under a lot of pressure down here on bottom as TongFu opts to run aggressively as well.
Yeah, they didn't want the Alchemist just getting a free lane, which I think is the right choice from TongFu, and putting King Jae mid against the Pudge. If you're a Darkseer versus a Pudge, you're always going to be able to shove the lane harder than he will, because in order to counter push, he has to use Rot, which obviously takes away from HP, so not really the best solution. But they do have the capability of keeping Kuro around middle lane just to allow Dendi to do well in the early game phases, but that puts a lot of emphasis on Dendi actually landing just as many hooks as he did in game number 1, if not more, because Kuro, unlike going to the safe lane to try to farm, he's not going to get any experience here, and if he does, he's taking away from somebody who needs it much more than him and the Pudge. So I feel as though these lanes currently working out quite well for TongFu. The only one that is probably not going to be going too favorably is Mu in this top lane on the Doombringer versus a Windrunner. This is pretty frustrating actually for him, and once the Puppy starts coming top with Kuro, the ganks are going to be very hard for him to avoid.
Yep, we can see Kuro already making his way up. Down at bottom, we are going to have Kuro, or Havost, engaged upon in first blood. Picked up by TongFu, diving him under the tier 1. And you knew it was going to happen soon enough. Up at top, Navi rotating Kuro up and looking to make something happen. And looking to put pressure on this Doom. Mu happy to just soak experience. Windrunner handled by Funnick. We can actually see Mu is leading in experience by almost a full level.
And this is really troublesome actually for Navi. There's a lot of movement that they've had to use so far. They need to make something happen. Killing Mu would be ideal, but honestly, between those heroes, this Nyx doesn't have a stun yet. Like, he needs Impale, and he's not even halfway currently to level 2. And now Tranquil Boots completed on Mu as well, so everything for TongFu I think going well so far, but here comes the gank.
Here we go, there's the Mana Burn. Puppy just doing some auto attacks, power shot. Mu walking his way back. The Ursa misses with the clap. And Mu chased all the way back into the woods, trying to eat himself up and hang on. He's got help. That's the Rubik. Still 3-on-2. Mu will end up dropping. There's a telekinesis on the Puppy. Can they catch him? No, he got Funnick. Funnick, though, when running out one auto attack, they're going to need at least one more. And Funnick can't do it. Power shot, finally. Not just that kill, one of the hardest working Windrunners in the business, SanSheng. Now their Impale tries to disrupt his Banana, and SanSheng are chasing him. And he's ducked into the woods just trying to hide. Has no TP, has to know he's dead to rights. They're just going to run out. Down at bottom, we're going to have another engagement, but we will see them finally track her down. And TongFu gets the return kill, make it 2-1.
Yeah, I think Funnick was dead there no matter what. I didn't think he would actually use the salve, because even if he does salve back to full, he has no TP and no mana. There's no way he's actually going to get out of that situation unless for some reason they decide to completely leave him alone. But on the upside, I guess Havos is left alone here for a little bit, so he's actually able to hit creeps for maybe the first time this game. He unfortunately actually has 11 CS right now, which is pretty impressive considering the start that he was up against in terms of hero matchup. But all in all, TongFu still looking pretty good. Dendi's actually tied in terms of overall CS with the highest on the map, which of course is the Gyrocopter now, but King J not able to push the lane that much, and Dendi actually doing pretty well here.
Top tower is under attack.
Dendi almost level 6, like you said, up pretty high. We are going to see a DD picked up here by King J. TongFu stabilizing things out. They've left the Gyro against Havos now. Gyro sitting at actually under-leveled by about a level, so certainly Havos going to feel fairly comfortable here, though he is going to be taking some abuse from the harassment. And now, though, SanSheng rotating his way back down. Kuro making his way back down as well. A lot of movement very early on in this game. 3 kills already in a 4.5-minute game. Windrunner, almost level 5. Banana's working on level 4, almost halfway to level 6 for the Doom, but Dendi is now level 6, so we'll see when he wants to start wandering around the map.
Yeah, really the key point is 7. That's when your hook is the longest. It's 200 range increase per level, and of course it does 90 more damage. So having Dismembered is great, but I think he's probably just going to sit here until he manages to get 7, then potentially go to that bottom lane, maybe try to score a kill on How, maybe even try to help top. But the one cool thing for Navi is that because of the tri-lane has kind of abandoned bottom, there's still one support here, but the Rubik has decided to move towards the top lane. That means that, again, Havos can farm, which is important, because if he can't farm in the situation, then they don't have anybody to fall back on during the mid-late game. And he's even going for the max spray and concoction build.
And King J and Pudge going back and forth, but both survive, make it away quite safely. They'll be able to bottle themselves back up. And already see Dendi getting a bit restless. And again, waiting to see when he is going to start to try and be that terror across the map. TongFu just continuing to rotate heroes around, and taking a look at Puppy, he's really been quite quiet all game. He's got 200 gold, he's just level 4 right now. Not too bad for 6 minutes into the game. Quicker he gets to 6, better off they'll be, obviously. But at some point, this just has that feeling in one of those games, and it might not necessarily be Navi. There's just going to be a string of kills, and one of these teams is going to look to put the pressure on and just put the pedal to the metal and not let up.
Well, if you want any team to do that, it's going to have to be Navi, because Navi have that Chen, and it's really important to try to get some semblance of map control at an early stage in the game. And looks like a missed hook there, but Chen, he's level 4 right now, and once he gets 5, he's going to have to start trying to make something happen. Level 2 Test of Faith, of course, and then you're going to be able to get 2 creeps finally, which is pretty darn important once you're level 5. But I do like Alchemist against Gyrocopter in general, because once the Gyrocopter gets farmed, once the Alchemist gets farmed, what ends up happening is the way that Alchemist builds is he can actually focus. He goes for things like Basher, and the Gyrocopter can't necessarily burst him down just because of how innately tanky he is going to be. And again, because Alchemist has gone for a build that actually is built around fighting, I think it's actually going to be to their benefit. But we'll have to see. Haven't seen the Doom really do much of anything either.
King J, juked him. First hook of the match, thrown wide by Dendi. Very nice play by King J. Tough to hit a moving target as it is. Much tougher to hit one that happens to be surged.
Yeah, last time I checked, being hasted is pretty difficult to land a hook on. But Dendi's still looking for it, which is important. The thing is about Pudge, if you go and you try to apply pressure to the map, you're going to force people back no matter what. That's just the effect Pudge has. All the hook.
Boom! Max range finds Hell! And gonna notch his first kill of the game. He shot that perfectly. Small opening between the creeps. He was standing right about here and caught him at max range on that hook. 2-2.
You know what was really interesting about that is he walked past a ward while he was going towards middle lane, and How was just like, nope, it's fine. I'm just going to chill here. It's okay. Everything's fine. And now then he's actually going to pick up a smoke too, so he's going to continue to play this aggressive. And with How going mid and dying, they're actually leaving Havos completely uncontested now on the bottom lane.
And you know, this is why these lineups work so well. We saw the same thing in game 1. Havos just left to his own devices, farmed up every item he needed, was way ahead. And it's the same effect now. You just Pudge is one of those heroes that changes the way the enemy has to approach the game. He will be sniffed out this time, though. Moo looking to get the Doom off of him. And nope, gonna get Funnick this time. There's a hook, bailing his buddy out. And Funnick quite happy to have the Butcher on his side. TongFu with 3 at top now here in mid. We see King J has retaken his station against the Nyx assassin, who's certainly looking for levels. But you want to talk about some gank potential. How about once Dendi and Nyx begin to run together? Once he finds 6 and has Vendetta, he's going to be free vision.
Yeah, that's one of the nice things about their lineup is they have great heroes for playing aggressive and trying to find those kills. And I'm sure with Navi, we're going to be seeing a lot more of them. King J, though, he's working his way towards that mech. He's actually almost got it. He's got his headdress money right now. He just needs to buy the recipe. And that's going to let TongFu pretty much group up and try to fight as 5. That's one thing that their lineup can do quite well. And King J going to get concoction here bottom, but I think he's going to be fine. Yeah, he's just going to surge away. But TongFu's lineup, fighting 5 versus 5, if they doom the Chen, I think it's actually pretty reasonable for TongFu to take some early game fights.
Dendi looking for a hook, spotted a few, and hoping they come back. There is one creep. And yep, he'll take the gold. It's fine. He's going to be hitting hooks one way or the other. Both teams had a ward there, so both were very well aware of what was going on. But we're coming up on 10 minutes now. And as you mentioned, Vos is playing a bit of catch-up. He's actually up to 37 CS, which is not bad at all. And Dendi continuing to just wander around, just patrolling the riverside, looking to make something happen. And nope, spotted out and... or just anticipated, or perhaps lucky from Visage. Either way, hook off the mark.
Yeah, he needs to start landing some of those because he, as it stands right now, no towers actually on the map at all have gone down. So when you start landing hooks and you have a Chen, it's nice because you can just make the quick rotation over and try to apply pressure. And we saw how scared TongFu were of the Pudge after hooks started landing. There were people standing so far away from towers that they actually couldn't defend them anymore. So we'll see if that's going to be the case here. But again, Havos just free farming bottom. He's going to be able to get his Shadow Blade sometime soon. And he's gone for putting points into Greevil's Greed now. So he decided not to max the Unstable Concoction. As soon as he realized that his team was pressuring enough on the map to get him some farm, he decided to put points into it because why not, right? It just gives you so much extra income if you're down here and nobody's contesting you.
Banana and SanSheng looking to find a pick, and Havos snips it out. Very nice awareness there, and Kuro has his eyes on King J. Looks like he spent his full repertoire, unable to get the kill though. But yeah, they walked, whenever they came down, they walked right over that sentry, and he must have been watching very, very closely to have spotted him. 2-2, 11 minutes in. And Kuro going to be sent back home, but Tier 1 under a bit of pressure. We can see the game very close in terms of gold. The experience, though, slightly in favor of Navi. Tops in net worth, though. 3 of the top 4 in net worth belonging to TongFu.
Yeah, that's one of the upsides to their lineup. Because of the fact that Navi has to move around so much to make things happen, TongFu have more of a reactionary team. And I think that's kind of been the theme for their lineups throughout this not this tournament, but at least this particular matchup, is they are okay with the other team having a more aggressive lineup because their reactions are always strong, and they know that when they get to the later stages of the game, it's actually going to be easier for them to take the fights. Because as good as an Alchemist can be, once he gets farm, a Doom can eliminate one hero from the fight straight away. That's pretty much the strength of the hero. And then you have things like Gyrocopter as a secondary, well, not secondary carry, but another hero who can be a core. And then you have things like Darkseer while in team fights. And again, only one hero on Navi is making BKB. So against those kind of lineups, Darkseer remains relevant for a very, very long time. So I do feel like TongFu are going to have a slight edge the longer the game goes. And of course, we're going to see Darkseer now finishing up the mech on King J.
King J having the mech ready. That's probably going to be the word go for TongFu. Invis on Dendi, though. He's currently under cover of smoke. We'll have the Invis if he wants it. He's going to have a lot of targets here. Does he have the firepower behind him is the question. Oh, he gets the Darkseer instead of a Rubik, locks him down, but immediately has to bail out. No, what an impale! Caught the whole team, vacuum back into the call down. Dendi biting up more than he can chew. He will be cleaned up. Now Puppy caught out in the middle of the fight. Moo makes it out just barely by the skin of his teeth. We're going to see the rest of the fight cleaned up by TongFu. They don't lose a single hero. A lot of damage done. But in the end, the hook just ill-advised. He hooked the hero out of an entire team and just didn't have enough behind him.
Well, that was like the worst hero to hook, actually. I mean, King J is pretty much the hardest person to kill with a mechanism. That is the one guy that you really don't want to get. So TongFu, they get the tier 1 mid. And this is one of those things where you start to have to wonder, Havost, he has a Shadow Blade now, so he can actually start to contribute, but you really want things like level 2 Chemical Rage, and you want to make sure that you have your treads at least finished before you start contributing, but it's going to be very, very soon where he has to start fighting, because if things like that keep happening, you lose 3 heroes, you lose a tower, it's very easy for Navi's lineup to get behind, and once it's behind, you have to rely on pretty much the man himself, Dendi, to land some hooks.
We can see the gold beginning to go not super heavily, still a 13-minute game, 3,000 gold, give or take. A decent enough lead in TongFu, exactly. They're going to smoke up. They are not letting off the gas at all. They want to keep the pressure up and take these fights on their terms. Don't let Navi do what they did in game 1. Don't let them out. Havost uses the Shadow Blade. Sentry goes down, and Dust, just to be safe, vacuum back. Navi on the other side of the trees. Can do nothing but hook shot by Dendi, who has a haste ring. The big man is moving, and he's going to be able to try to pursue someone down here. And hook off cooldown in 1 second. And the familiar is actually blocking him. Very nice control out of TongFu there. They're going to try to take this tier 1. There's a shackle, does latch, and move. All the Visage familiars staying in the way, and he missed it. The timing would have lined up, but he missed the hook. And in the end, TongFu, after picking off of Oz, he's got Dismember! Vanek locked down, walls down just in case. Rubik beating her down with his stick, keeping Vanek locked in place. Secures another kill, and TongFu is going to continue to push. They're not done. Mech still hasn't even been used. There's a hook! How? Brought all the way back to the base! Cleaned up by the fountain. And now Puppy gonna be caught out. King J re-engaged upon. Weird little skirmishes breaking out behind the tower. Good vacuum, and they're gonna dust it as well. Now, Dendi getting back involved in front. SanSheng gonna be dismembered and cleaned up. In the meantime, King J trying to TP away behind the fight. Shackle does not latch. We actually just saw the Chen Pudge combo at the International. That happened.
Yeah, now Havost is going to keep going on move. They want to go for this.
No! Hooked him back. The impale's there to bail him out, though. Visage Familiar's trying to help out. Doom on Dendi will probably seal his fate. But Moo will be cleaned up as well. And Dendi denied himself.
He got denied by the Chen creep. Puppy was following him with a Satyr, yeah. He tried to wait it out with the Familiars to last it, but they just didn't do enough damage, so. Yeah, there you go.
The crown, the clear rooting interest, 6-9. TongFu still leading this game in terms of gold. The experience has gone back in favor of Navi, however. And the beautiful deny at the end especially, quite nice. But 16.5 minutes in, still anybody's game. Both teams playing ultra aggressive. Now, a hero we haven't talked a whole lot about that probably we should, just because of the matchup he was in with Moo, was Funnick. His role in this Windrunner is absolutely essential. He got a nice amount of experience. He's level 10, about to be level 10 anyway. And his shackles are going to matter so much in terms of these fights. As we pointed out, TongFu has the superior one with, at least right now, superior 5-on-5 team fight team. Solid play coming out of Funnick, going to be absolutely essential if they're going to be able to deal with that whenever both teams do run into each other 5-on-5.
Yeah, I think what's probably going to end up happening is Navi are going to continue to play this aggressively. They really need to get towers. It's 17 minutes in with a Chen, and they haven't gotten any. I mean, they need to get at least one tier 1. Puppy is very close to the mech, which is going to be nice for them. And whereas Funnick, he was 1 versus 1 for a while, the rotation while helping Havost get farm hurt Funnick. So Funnick doesn't have his 4-staff yet, and he really needs it because when you get slowed down or they go in for the vacuum, you want to be able to 4-staff out immediately. Even helps with things like Rubik and TongFu. They're smoked up. They're looking for something here, but Navi pretty much is 5-man farming their own Ancients, which is an interesting tactic, but looking at TongFu pushing top, I think Navi's choice really is to just try to push mid.
Let's see, they're going to rotate over to top, at least look like they are, sending a couple over. Dendi kind of hanging out at the moment. He's going to take a path less traveled. We'll spot a haste room. Very nice pickup for him. And Navi looks like they want to contest this. The tower at about half health. They do have a glyph. TongFu in a very defensive position, as they must be against Dendi. And the familiars coming in. They're going to be using the stun. TongFu in no position to engage off of it, though. It looks like they might just, yeah, they will just go ahead and abandon this as Satyr gets their attention. Bad move. Moo gonna beat him down, but now they're smoked up. Na'Vi ready to fight, wants to fight. They're gonna walk right across the sentry, though. And here we go, Dendi. Oh, he threw it late. Trying to do it again, and now they have to fall back.
Banana stole hook.
Oh, the Rubik grabbing the hook. And now they're gonna be able to do a little hooking of their own. Cliff gonna be used, and the hook comes out. What a hook! SanSheng grabbed out. They're gonna mech through it. The Havos is just going to town. He is doomed though. Now gonna be cleaned up. The call down connects on a couple. The rest of TongFu falling back. Another hook. Gonna grab him back. But Dendi using that haste rune. Falling back. 3-for-1 trade that time. And TongFu is beginning to grind Navi down a little bit. They got a 5-kill lead as we approach 20 minutes. They get the tower, hovering right around 5,000 gold to their advantage and bringing the experience back into line as well. So Navi definitely going to be feeling much more under the gun now. We're crossing that point where, I mean, Havos right now is not in bad shape in terms of net worth. He's sitting at 6,500. He's right there with the gyro. The only one that's ahead really is Moo, though. On our Doom. He's got his Shadow Blade and his drums, but he's going to continue to just get bigger and bigger because of the way Devour works.
Yeah, the longer the game goes, he's very similar to Alchemist. He's one of the better farmers in the game, so whatever his next item choice is going to be, I'm sure it's going to be fantastic for the team. The one thing that kind of bothers me about Navi right now is they're actually relying on things like fountain hooks to defend their tier 1s. Yeah. When you have to rely on stuff like that to be able to take fights, you're not necessarily in the greatest of positions, and we just had a good glimpse of what the Alchemist is not going to be able to do during team fights if the Doom decides to just doom him. Because Puppy died without even using his ultimate. I mean, Hand of God wasn't even popped. He still doesn't have his mech, and it's 20 minutes in. So TongFu, I think this is pretty much their game to lose right now. They have a pretty distinct advantage. They're going for Roshan. I don't think that Navi can really do anything about this. If they walk down there, they need Pudge, right? And Dendi actually had to TP to tier 2 mid, so he's not even going to be here in time. Free Roshan here for TongFu.
Medallion certainly making it an easier time. They will be in position if they want to engage off of that, and see what he got. Got Acid Spray, not a bad steal for the Rubik there. Just now, phase boots are done on the Alchemist. Shadow Blade plus a Hyperstone coming out for Havos, so certainly building to try and get the job done right now. Needs that armor, needs a bit more survivability, but TongFu, as you mentioned, just in such a great position right now. BKB done on Hao with his Aegis. And here we go. They're going to try it again. Threw it late. And, you know, Navi, every time they try something like that and it doesn't work, it's just more time that they have to sit back and know that they're 4-on-5, and all the more aggressive that TongFu can play because they know Dendi has to make his way back to lane. He's not going to be TPing all that often. They almost caught up with Havos there near the Ancients, but he's going to go ahead and grab them as Dendi waddles his way back to the front lines.
Well, like I said, it does waste time, but they kind of need it. I mean, they need to be able to just eliminate somebody from the fight, very similar to what Moo can do for TongFu. So if he had been a little bit farther up, he would have been able to throw the hook, but the thing is there was a range creep in the way. There it is, yep.
Banana going for a ride on the Dendi Express. Welcome to the well. And 8-12 following that. That's twice now. It's amazing. Oh, they got the courier. They got the courier. That's certainly a nice pickoff. Well done there by Kuro. Making up a bit of ground. And Navi hanging in, doing what they can to free up space for Havos. Havos not quite maxed out Grievous Greed yet. We actually see the Gyrocopter getting the kill on the Nyx Assassin, so they did manage to track him down. But Dendi's going to do it again.
Oh, close.
We'll follow our little guy back.
Yeah, that one actual melee creep on Navi's side saved the Gyrocopter.
Traitor!
Mech now finished, actually, so Navi now have an opportunity to maybe try to take a team fight, but it's just so hard for them because they're relying so much on Pudge, right? Like, whenever you pick this hero, it is pretty much your core, even though he doesn't function as a normal hero who gets farm. But if he doesn't have a good game, then he doesn't really bring you a whole lot. And his hooks have been pretty close, but you need better than close. You need to make sure that you're landing them, you're getting important heroes. If you can get a fountain hook on somebody like the Doom on the gyrocopter like we saw him do once before, then you can look to defend your towers. But if it doesn't happen, TongFu's team fight right now is just superior, and I don't really think that Navi can take a straight up fight right now.
No, I completely agree. Trying it again. Nope. Call down. Gonna catch two. Do they want to engage off of it? Looks like they might. Nope, thought better of it. Shackle shot. Gonna latch to one of the familiars, actually, that can still move. Impale to follow it up. Here comes the Vost. Gonna throw it on SanSheng. What a vacuum into the wall. Hand of God used immediately to buy them time to retreat. Nice play from King J. But the Hand of God allows Navi to get out of harm's way. We're 24 minutes in, but things are beginning to feel rather untenable for Navi. They have to shake things up, and they have to do it in a hurry.
Yeah, there's a really significant goalie right now for TongFu. It's just about 7,500, which at this point you can turn it around, yeah, but did Navi have the tools to do it? I mean, you have a Windrunner who has a Force Staff, you have Pudge, who basically has treads in an urn at this stage in the game, and the Alchemist really is the only hope for Navi in terms of making it to that late game phase where you're going to be able to fight. But again, TongFu's draft it functions well against that kind of a lineup, because if you're only relying on one hero to carry, and the Alchemist needs to be the one who's huge, if you doom him, how does he carry his team in that fight? Like, how do you continue to fight if you can't use any abilities, even through BKB? I mean, it's a really tough situation for Navi to be in, so they're going to keep relying on those hooks. Let's just hope Dendi has them. And
here we go. He's looking for one now. He's going to be telekinesed and actually sent home as he was trying to grab him, unable to do so. And for about the 15th time, he's going to have to walk back out to lane. Surprised Pudge isn't losing weight by now. He spent a lot of time walking from the base back out.
Yeah, he's spent quite a bit actually going for these hooks, and the thing is he can actually walk back out if he misses, but if he lands the hook and the fight starts, he can TP back to the tower. That's kind of what they did during the bottom fight. But Hello's going to try to TP out here. Oh man, it's going to be close.
Made it. Barely able to get away. Now Navi though in position. They might try something. Dendi's going to try it again. Can he? Got him that time. See you in the base move. Welcome home. And a post. Not that he needed to. Gives him a little assistance. And Dendi back up and ready to fight. Shows back up at the tier 2. Aegis reclaimed in 60 seconds. And trying to find another target. Those familiars. So problematic for him. That is what they do. Take a little bit of damage this time, but Dendi just man-moning and rushing right uphill. He's got Hal and Banana in front of him, just doesn't have the mobility, doesn't have the giddy up.
Well, they kind of have to force it. Whenever the Doom is dead, that's the one hero who can just shut out somebody completely, so that's when you want to try to go for it. But here we go again. Don't think he's going to get anyone this time.
Little late in throwing it. In the meantime, though, this has freed things up for Havost to take down a tier 1. He's completed his Assault Cuirass. He has his Shadow Blade up now. And going to begin to feel a bit more like an Alchemist. So far, I mean, let's not lie, it's been the Dendi show. That's what we've all been watching. But Havost is going to end up being a big factor, a big influencing factor once he does manage to catch up. You know, taking a look at the net worth, he actually has surpassed Mu and is on top of the gyrocopter as well. So he already is going to be able to start standing and fighting a little bit more easily. And makes me wonder, I mean, now that he's a bit more relevant, and especially once he builds perhaps one more item, does there come a point where they just start saying, okay, we don't need to send Dendi home every single time he throws a hook. Let's just let him hook, blow someone up, and then try to engage into them 5-on-4 afterwards.
I think they're pretty much going to always have to send him back. I mean, just the way that their team functions right now, if you're relying on one hero, you need a fountain hook to turn back, because again, he could just easily get doomed. And even if he gets sent home by the Chen, it doesn't matter. Funnick getting caught mid.
And there's a hook to grab move. Funnick wind running away. Beautiful impale. Caught multiple targets. Here he comes back in. Vendetta plus power shot brings him down. Vacuum wall counter initiation. Call down's going to connect. Havost in trouble, isolated away from his team. Will be cleaned up. And again, Kuro comes in with the impale. Now he's telekinesis back. Double kill going the way of SanSheng this time. Hal showing off that BKB. And Dendi went for it again. Late on pulling the trigger. There's the Grave Chill on Puppy as he tries to retreat. Homing missile tracking down Funnick. Soul Assumption makes it a triple kill for SanSheng. Buyback out of Havost. He's going to get there just in time to see them turn tail and leave. The TongFu continues to pile it on. That makes it 16-10. And even though there's been a little bit of ground made up lately by Na'Vi, mostly on the back of Ohhh, TongFu still in quite solid position.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that initiation went as well as you could have asked it to. They killed Mu before he even got to cast Doom. Yep. I mean, that's exactly what you want if you're Na'Vi. You do not want that spell to be able to go off, and it still just didn't matter. Ohhh needs, honestly, I think a BKB at this point, because the magic damage output on TongFu is way too high. He can't sustain through that, and even though technically you could still get doomed, you're not going to be taking a tremendous amount of damage, at least during the process. So we'll see what his next item choice is going to be. I think that Navi are still kind of in it, but if they lose too many more small skirmishes like that, I think it might just become that kind of insurmountable lead where TongFu can pretty much do whatever they want and just run rampant all over the map. But Roshan going to be spawning here in about 2 minutes. Probably going to be the next choice for TongFu at least to try to push in. They can give Hao another Aegis if need be. And he's going to have a Butterfly soon too. So Alchemist not really anywhere near an MKB because he has to make a whole nother item first before he even starts it. It's kind of worrisome for Navi right now.
TongFu moving through the Radiant side jungle, trying to find themselves a target. Map control, not something Navi can claim to possess anymore. They have 2 outer tier towers remaining in comparison to 4 of TongFu, mid tier 2, top tier 2. But at this point, TongFu can starve them out like this if they want. He's moving to the jungle, occasionally bouncing lane, and kill off Chin creeps. That certainly helps, as a stray Satyr spotted them out and will pay with his life. We're at 30 minutes right now, by the way, and Pudge only has 8 stacks on Flesh Heat. He had double that at 25 minutes last time. That just goes to highlight the difference, and he's going to go for it up. Missed it. And it seems like their execution, let's call it what it is. It's been lacking for about the last 10 minutes or so.
Well, that one was pretty hard because you couldn't see anything. I mean, it's nighttime. They don't have any wards at all. TongFu are pretty much dominating the map right now, but it's just a desperation move to try to get something back. And King J having a gem makes it so Navi really aren't going to have vision ever unless there's a pretty big mistake made. But Puppy buys one of his own, so he buys a gem to try to deward and get his part of the map back, where TongFu have just littered his jungle with wards. Even the top lane, they even have a lane ward there as well. And with Roshan being up any second, this is the time where Navi has to try to fight. The downside is that if they try for a fountain hook around Roshan, Dendi's not going to be able to TP right back to the fight. He needs to hit somebody very high priority, like the Gyrocopter. I think the Darkseer is also a good choice, and maybe the Doom.
Speaking of Doom, Assault Cuirass is going to be done just in time for the ensuing Roche fight. Right now, though, it looks like TongFu's not all that interested. Navi necessarily having to play pretty defensive here. And TongFu's actually just foregoing it. They've split back up into the jungle. I'm sure they'll make their way back down at some point, but for now, Navi taking the power shot scout and going to find that nobody's home. So they're going to go ahead and enjoy the luxuries of their own jungle, at least for a little while. TongFu continuing to just farm away. Ohhh still leads in net worth, but behind him, the next 3 in terms of net worth, all belonging to TongFu. So their items coming much more quickly and much more frequently.
And that's pretty much the worry. The whole war of attrition definitely going TongFu's favor. Whenever you have full map control, it's just so much easier to get more gold. When Ohhh gets the BKB, though, there is an opportunity for Navi to possibly take a fight. And if it ends up being around Roshan, that could very easily turn the game for them. But alternatively, TongFu, like AC done on Doom, he's now level 15, almost 16. And when he gets level 3 Doom, man, that is just absolutely obnoxious. It does so much damage, especially. And even after that, if he wants to, he can go something like a Scepter. And Scepter, I think, would function well here just because, again, if you can shut out Ohhh forever just by walking next to him, I mean, the rest of Navi's lineup doesn't do that much damage. They're relying on the fountain to kill their heroes. So, yeah, troublesome still for Navi. I feel like TongFu could very easily just go for Roshan here if they wanted to.
TongFu continuing to stick together, very, very close. Not wanting to give Navi an opportunity to do this, to smoke or to catch them out at a funny angle. Ohhh not caught with the smoke. He will be visible, but Visage familiars keeping an eye on the big man. They will go ahead and vacate at least for the moment. TongFu is beginning to make their way down a bit. In the meantime, though, Hao has completed his Butterfly. Even more problems for Navi and what Ohhh is going to be able to contribute.
Yeah, Navi right now smoked up. They know that Roshan's up. They want to try to make something happen. If they could possibly get this, they definitely would still be in the game. But I think if TongFu end up getting Roshan, it's going to be one of those situations where it's going to be that slow, kind of painful, we can't really do anything about this anymore, kind of a lose your rack situation. So TongFu playing it really passive, though. Maybe even a little bit too passive. I suppose, though, waiting the game out isn't going to do them any harm, per se. As long as they don't end up giving away the Roshan, I think they'll be fine.
Went for a blind hook, came up wanting. As TongFu able to spread themselves out adequately. Roshan still looks to be the goal. They're hanging out between the Tier 1 and Tier 2 over on their side of the map. In the meantime, Navi has pulled back all the way to their Tier 2, obviously fearing any kind of a reprisal when Dendi isn't there. But actually beginning to become a much more slow and strategic match. And again, compare that to Game 1, where it was very hectic. Not to say there wasn't great strategy involved, but it was much more frantic, is probably the word to use. This time, TongFu just very patiently taking their lead, trying to hang on to it. And Havost, as you mentioned, his importance cannot be overstated. Now they're going to smoke. Now they're going to try and give the old okie doke the end around. And Funny knew it was coming. That's why he just checked behind him. And they're going to run right into each other. Here we go. Mu spots him out, and they know he's there. They had the gem. Mu in trouble. Kuro, there's a nice vacuum. Only caught 2. Calldown's going to connect as well. Hal laying into the Mavos, looking for a target right now. Stuck on SanSheng. The battle has broken up a bit. We just saw Dendi get sent home. And the rest of Navi forced to spread out. Shackle doesn't lash, but it buys a little bit of time. Puppy might be in trouble. Blink off cooldown in 10 seconds, but will make it out of range before they can lock him down. 10 to 16, no deaths on either side there. Smoke, and they ran right into each other, but Navi immediately breaking things up. Dendi, though, back on the prowl, making his way through. We're going to hear the unstable concoction, and he's hoping to find someone. Havost's going to end up exploding himself. Kaboom. But no targets to be found.
Yeah, TongFu just retreating back to their side of the map. I think for TongFu, having Doom is pretty important. Yeah, nice attempt coming out from Dendi. Fortunately, not going to be successful. That fight was weird, though, because Mu walked in, and he doomed the Nyx. And I guess he didn't want the Impale to go off, which is okay, but I feel like Chen or Alchemist are pretty much the better choices. Even Pudge, I think, is okay, especially if he just turns on Rot or if he's, you know, being annoying and trying to get Fountain Hooked, I suppose. But the thing about dooming Chen is there's so much health that he gives his team. Level 2 Hand of God is 300 and Max 250, so that's 550 health on every single hero. Kuro didn't even die when he got doomed because the rest of TongFu weren't close enough to follow up, and of course he got healed for a very large amount of health. So Mu just needs to make sure that he targets the right people with that, and I think team fights for them honestly shouldn't be too difficult.
TongFu beginning to reassemble. Roshan still alive and well. That may very likely change in the near future. And as you said, I mean, at this point, you know, we're at 36 minutes in. Can't help but feel like this Roshan, whenever it does occur, is going to be Navi's real last chance to have a saving moment. It's going to be a Hail Mary pass, and they've got to have it right now. So far, TongFu just trying to assert control of the pit, have not committed to going in. Navi, with plenty of wards down on the edge of the river, knows exactly what's going on and staying spread out, at least at the moment. Big creep wave down the bottom will force a TP, though. They're going to see that. They're going to know Havost is not present. And here we go. Moving their way in, medallion used. Dendi up on the high ground. Havost not being there. Going to be a very difficult fight. Closest place he can TP is the tier 2 mid. He's just going to farm for the moment. They made you get. They're just going to give it away. He just goes to TongFu. And now charging back out. Dendi going to be spotted, and he gets, no, he doomed the Chen. That's a much better choice. Oh, he got him. He got him. Not going to follow it all the way because we got a battle to watch with Puppy. Trying to get away from it, going to be telekinesed back. And they will be able to get him as well. There you so a 1-for-1 trade. And wow, Hal is still alive down there. Finally managing to bring him down, so that Aegis goes to no use. The Fountain Hook, quite successful, and it feels like a breath of air. It's almost as if Navi felt like they were drowning, and finally they're just able to break water and take a deep breath of air.
Like I was saying, if they didn't have fountain damage, there is no way they would have been able to kill that gyrocopter. That was an absolutely insane play, and actually keeps them in the game. I mean, if that didn't happen, it would have been probably a Rax, I think, for TongFu. And nonetheless, still TongFu executed it well. They went in, they doomed the right target. It's just, man, if you get fountain hooked, even with an Aegis and a butterfly, you are not living through it.
Bo's continuing to find his farm. He's got his basher up, plus 1,200 gold aside. And TongFu is once again spread out. Scythe of Vice now complete on the Darkseer. Very important item. being able to scythe either the Pudge or the Chin, as the case may be. Though, truth be told, they're not, I mean, Pudge isn't in these fights for the most part. It's not like game one where he was hooking and then dismembering. He's hooking and either you go to the fountain or you're left and he's gone. And we might see another engagement breakout as Kuro, oh, there we go, the hook, got him! SanSheng taking the long ride to Shanghai. Welcome home. Navi gets another kill. Here we go. Kuro going to be caught out in the river at the same time. Force Staff tries to get him to safety. Does not have carapace. Shackle shot almost perfect. Was perfect, but the impale caught everyone as well. Kuro now with the carapace. Counter initiation. Down goes the wall. That's just Havos chopping wood on Banana though. Gets the kill. Now he's going to go to work on King J. Here comes Dendi. Vacuum into the wall once again. He's dismembering. Mu going to town on him. Havos makes it a double kill. Now they're going to get another one. Navi charging back out, and King J will make it a full 5-man wipe. They found that breath of air they needed with that one fountain hook. They're on their feet. They're chanting. All it took was one fountain hook. They found that breath of air. They found their pulse. And they have found their way back into this game. Taking down the tier 2, charging at the tier 3. They're going to have a few more seconds, 20 seconds until the gyro responds. We're going to see Doom actually buy back, but not in time to prevent the tier 3 from dropping. And Havos, he's going for it. Havos believes. Going to be telekinesis down. Now the counter initiation. Drop down. Mu catches Funnick and now caught out and a hook brings Hal back out. Havos going to tow on Mu. Hal is down. Mu and Havos going toe to toe. Soul Assumption does nothing. SanSheng can do nothing. Force Staff on Mu. Gets him back. Now they're going to try to chase it. They got him. King J trying to find Funnick. Force Staff to safety. In the meantime, Dendi still looking for yet another hook. Has it in 2 seconds. The creeps causing him some problems. The gem hasn't even been picked up yet. Familiars are going to drop, but it doesn't matter. They concede the melee racks. And Navi, who seem to be out of options, seem to be at the point of desperation, have fought their way not just back into this game, but back into the lead.
Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable play coming out of Navi. The chase on Kuro, keeping him alive for so long and managing to turn that around. And they even get the bottom tier 1 in addition. They're going to be pushing into the tier 2. TongFu just lost so much during those last engagements. It all starts back with the fountain hook onto Hao after they got the Aegis. It was so difficult for them to recover from that because they needed the gyro's damage. And Hao didn't get his BKB off before the dismember and the base push either, so he just immediately died. Kuro was able to get his damage out. So Navi, they re-established full map control, and now the shoes on the other foot. TongFu sitting inside of their base. Another fountain hook attempt, not actually going to connect that time, but still, TongFu, I can't believe this got turned around in them like that.
I believe we're in an arena of people shocked at what Navi has accomplished so far. The game ain't over, still a lot of Dota to be played. But the point of desperation they had reached, you know, fountain hook, when you lose every fight that you don't land a fountain hook at, tends to mean things are a little bit troublesome. And it looked as if TongFu was ready to just slam that door completely. But again, that one big play and that big turnaround, King J caught with the shackle doesn't latch. It looks like, yeah, managed to get shackle for himself. Very nice spell for Rubik to have stolen. Dendi goes fishing just to the left of SanSheng. And looks like Kuro poking his nose around. Roche going to be up in about 4 minutes, give or take. But Navi definitely playing more aggressive now. For the last 10 to 15 minutes, they did nothing but stick as 5 and sit more or less under their own tier 2s. But now on the enemy side of the river, they feel large and in charge.
I honestly am speechless. Like, the fact that they were able to turn it around in that fashion is nothing short of miraculous. And Havos almost having the MKB, that's going to be massive. Dendi doesn't actually even bother throwing out the hook that time. There's no one in range. So some dewarding being done inside the base of TongFu as well, which is a good thing because you definitely don't want Dendi being able to see in there. And this is really, really bad now for TongFu because whereas before their gyrocopter was quite far ahead, now he's not. Now he's actually behind, especially if you compare to the Alchemist. Havos has had such a long time to recover, and now he is almost, well, not almost doubling, but he's got around 7,000 more net worth in the Gyrocopter. And with the MKB now finished, I don't know if Hao can really do anything anymore, at least in terms to Havos.
Yeah, Havos for a while there looked to be perpetually behind just because of how well the gyro knows how well the gyro can flash farm. And the crowd excited to see the MKB pick up, nullifying the dodge percentage on the butterfly. Pings like crazy. This could be a fight that decides this game if they have an engagement outside of these tier 2s. Navi spotted out by the familiars. We'll see stun go out, and he's gonna go fishing and find SanSheng. Cleaned up, so immediately coming back out, and Kuro catches Banana. Shackle is there. Going to town, called out on Moo. Moo being dismembered, being locked out, being killed off, and Hao can't stand up to the damage. Havos has gone crazy. That's a double kill for the big man with the little man on his shoulders. And Navi, dare we speak it, dare we whisper it. A game that seemed to be out of control. Banana now caught out. There's the shackle off of the creep. Carapace is up, and another kill for Havos. 5 are down. One set of racks is down. They're gonna go to work on the tier 3. Buybacks aren't coming out. Dare we think it? Could it be? Navi bringing down the last remaining vestiges of hope for TongFu. The tier 4s under assault. Kuro and Dendi looking to farm the well. If they dare come out, they think better of it and move on to the tier 3 bottom. It's gone. And now the last racks, one's down. Can you say mega creeps? Navi, he got him! One more! This is what you call one for the road!
Man, I cannot believe that they actually did it. Funnick's going to be running here as well, though, from TongFu.
Funnick vacuumed back. Lockdown cleaned up. Pretty sure that's not what anyone here cares about. TongFu played a phenomenal game 2. Played so well for so long here in game 3. But the hook heard round the world, Draskell. That first hook that shut them down when they were pushing the last time. And we're gonna see Puppy spotted out. He will be doomed. We're actually gonna see Havos going to work now, getting a kill as well. Puppy, Dendi's there to try and help him though. He's not doomed. Puppy trying to juke him around. And yeah, keeping it on him. There's the MPL to follow it up. Puppy still alive, mechs through him. GG! Navi has snatched a berth in the upper bracket grand finals from the brink of defeat. A game that looked to have slipped away from them. And they shock the world. The capacity crowd here on the floor of Benaroya Hall. Arms are in the air. Voices are raised. A standing ovation for the boys of Navi.
Very well-deserved victory for Navi. I mean, I think what we learned here is you can never count out a Dendi Pudge, ever.
No, ever.
That fountain hook on Hao totally turned the game around for them. Absolutely brilliant performance coming out of Navi, coming back from what I think many were thinking was insurmountable lead coming out from TongFu. But you still have to give it to him. TongFu played a fantastic series.
TongFu, not out yet. We'll be dropping down to the lower bracket. Looking ahead, though, we'll let the boys back at James's desk break it down.
Thanks, AC and Draskell. Wow, that game is going down in history. I mean, I guess the only thing we can analyze is really their tactic to come back. But I just kind of imagined while Dendi and Havos were walking off stage, I just really hope Dendi was talking to him going, man, I can't believe we won that game that way. We're such a bunch of assholes.
Definitely. It was like the biggest robbery ever.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it was amazing, and it was you know, it will go down history because they had like such a small % chance to win after the early stages of the game, and they went for, we're going to have to insta-gib every hero. And it was really...
Can we call the cheesiest thing we've ever seen? I mean, it's in the game. Valve has specifically said they'll allow it. I disagree with it. I hate the fact that it's possible. I'm sure I have the support of 5 TongFu players right now as well. I mean, it's fun and it's in the rules, so...
Has your faith in Navi been shaken, though, after this game? Do you think that it would have gone Navi's way had it been an even draft?
Well, sorry, I was going to say it's even more impressive they're able to win. Like, my faith in them has gone up because they took something that maybe wasn't theirs to win and made it theirs. It was incredible.
To be fair, I mean, Alchemist against Gyrocopter as the game goes late. Alchemist is very good against 1v1, while Gyrocopter tries to deal more damage to everyone else. And I mean, if the game was going longer, it would have been a clear victory for them. The reason the game got long enough was because of fountain hooks. Deal with it.
Oh, well, you know, we're talking about it. Yeah, we'll talk about it in a little bit as well. But for now, we're going to go over to Casey, who's got an interview of the